Hey, this is Sebastian from socialanxietysolutions.com. I'm a former social anxiety disorder sufferer and a social confidence coach, and I help people feel relaxed and at ease in social situations so they can freely speak their mind and, have a good time socially. So I'm answering a question today, and that question is as follows. It's from Mustafa. Hey Seb, I have a question for a long time now, and that is, the social anxiety is caused by two things, as you know. The first one, negative beliefs, and the second is situations in the past, painful memories. What if I clean one of them? Is that going to solve, for example, 50% of the social anxiety, or is it going to make a temporary solution? Well, good question. In my experience, anxiety is there because your brain is perceiving a potential threat. And that perception of a threat is the result of beliefs. So someone who believes people are out to get me, I'm not good enough, I have to be perfect, he's gonna have a very different experience socially than someone who believes people like me, I'm okay the way I am, and I can mess up and it's fine. The second person won't see a threat in a situation where the first person does see a problem. So that's why the beliefs need to be shifted and changed. Now, these beliefs come from somewhere, and often they come from significant emotional experiences, traumatic experiences in life. So if someone believes, for example, I'm not good enough and I can't make any mistakes, well, it might be that person had a traumatic experience when he was 12 years old, and the teacher, called him out in front of the class, and he was laughed at and ridiculed. And that traumatic experience is what his brain is pointing to in order to predict current social situations. Because during that experience, he might have learned the meaning that he might have made out of that situation is, hey, I can't make any mistakes, and I'm not good enough, and I have to be perfect, right? So that's where they're very, very similar, and they're often linked together. However, you can also have a particular belief that you don't get from a specific emotional experience. In fact, there are many of those, and often the more the deeper beliefs, like identity beliefs, beliefs that start with I am or I am not, they usually come from the repetitive negative experiences that you had early on in your life. And I'm talking about relationship with your mom or relationship with your dad. If you had a dad, for example, that was very critical and you couldn't do anything right and he would explode when you would do something wrong, okay, that might be a whole bunch of little memories rather than one specific memory that stands out. And so you don't have a particular specific memory to address, and yet you have that belief. Well, how to address that is beyond the scope of this video, because it's just difficult to explain. I cannot explain it that easily, because there's a way of combining everything and then addressing it. But I have a whole 45-minute video, a guided video with instructions on how to do that. So I can't just say how to do that here. But there are ways of addressing that, and you will need to discharge, release, let go of all the negative emotions associated with that critical behavior from your dad. And in doing so, you're letting go of the emotional evidence that your brain has for holding on to a belief like, I'm not good enough, or there's something wrong with me, or I have to do everything right and I can't do anything wrong. Beliefs you have picked up as a result of that early programming, that early foundational relationship that you had with your dad. Okay, so you want to address both, and you can there are many ways to go about this. There's not one perfect way. You can have a particular belief that you start working on, and the belief might lead you to a particular memory or relationship with a parent or relationship with a sibling or experience with a teacher. Or you might work with a feeling, and that feeling might bring you back to where you felt that before, and then you can work with the memory. So there's no perfect way, but a good thing to keep in mind is that, all right, I'm getting triggered in this particular social situation, so I can use this social situation where I got triggered as a way in to start chipping away on my social anxiety. So for example, maybe yesterday you got triggered when you walked into a a party, and you walked into the party and you felt fine. Most people actually have anticipatory anxiety about that, but let's use this as an easy example. You walk into the party and you're fine, but Johnny joins the circle and now instantly you start feeling anxious. Okay, well that's then a particular trigger. Now you can look at, all right, how did I feel when Johnny walked into that circle? Well, I felt inferior, I felt insecure, and I felt that in my chest. And when I think about it, I can feel that. You can tune into that feeling and ask yourself, what does that remind me of? Which might bring you back to a particular memory, or it might bring you back to, well, I always felt like that around my dad. And then you can work with that. Or you might go a more inquisitive route where you try to uncover the belief. So you might ask, well, what was I thinking at that time? Or why did I not feel safe in that situation? What was the threat there? What was I believing? Well, I felt inferior to him. Okay, all right. You might have the belief, I'm inferior. Does that feel true to you? And you just say out loud, I feel inferior, or I am inferior, or I'm not important. Yes, that feels true. Okay, now you have the belief. Now you can go and start addressing that belief. You can start by tapping on the feelings associated with the belief, and that might still lead you back to earlier experiences or the relationship with your mom or dad or something like that. And that's how you can start chipping away at it. Okay, so that's just a real quick tip. There's a lot more to overcoming your social anxiety than just this, but try this. Get started, start doing something. And if you want more step-by-step information on how to do this, check out Create Incredible Emotional Control. It's an amazing program I've put together where I teach you the tapping and I teach you your psychology so you understand your problem, you understand why it is that you have social anxiety and how you can address it. And it has super simple and effective tapping exercises to help you start feeling more comfortable, start reducing your anxiety. Or if you rather have a more Netflix-like therapeutic experience, I have various coaching series that I have recorded where I coach Masa, for example, a lady called Masa, to help her overcome her fear of negative judgment. I do that over 5 coaching sessions. They were live coaching sessions at the time, and people paid to see these sessions and they tapped along with it. And so they didn't have to do their own inquisitive work to find out where the beliefs came from or whatever. They just watched me coach her, and they could relate to Masha's feelings on screen. It would trigger their feelings. It would help their subconscious to link whatever was going on with Masha to their unique issues. And just by tapping along, they would start to reduce their social anxiety. Amazing. So it's hard to believe that something like this actually works, but it actually works. So I have 3 different series on that. One is with Masa to overcome the fear of being judged. One is with Damien on the fear of being seen anxious, and one is with Leah on neutralizing shame and the fear of embarrassing yourself. You can find all of these by going to my website, socialanxietysolutions.com/products. You'll find all the details there, and there you go. So Mustafa, thank you for your question. Hope it's been helpful, and I'll connect with you next week again. Subscribe here. Thanks. Leave your questions. Good times. Have a great weekend. And I'm out. Bye.